Hey everyone, Kevin here from the Zenler team, and welcome to our very first ever live office hours. And I'm really pleased that this week we have the absolute privilege of having Rakesh here with us. Hi Rakesh.
Hey Kevin, and thanks for getting on the call. Super excited to get going. So let's start.
So let me just set you the scene for how the office hours is going to work, because this is going to be a regular weekly feature within the new Zenler founders group, and it's here and it's designed to really understand some of the issues that you're facing, help you overcome the problems and the questions that you've got, and ultimately, as our goal always is, certainly for myself, Rakesh and David, in this aspect of Zenler, is to get your first course out and you earning money. And that's what we want to help you achieve. So we're going to be looking at the questions that have come in through the last week. If you've got any questions that are burning and you've got that desire to get them out right now, put them in the chat, because we are live. We're here right now. You've got the founder, Rakesh, here at your fingertips to answer your questions. Please be kind. And we'll get straight into it. So every week, just double check on the times that we put out each week, because I'm very aware that we have a vast audience across the world. So some people have already mentioned this is 4 AM in their time zone.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to be a little bit later, and some weeks will be a little bit earlier. So just keep your eye on how that's going to work.
So that we cover like a lot of time zones.
Yeah, I think that's fair for everybody. So hopefully throughout the course of the month we're going to catch most people at some point in the month. Is the idea behind that.
Excellent.
I'm going to also put a Google Sheet into the group, so people can preload in their questions each week, so we can be a bit prepared as well for what's coming up. So remember, if you're here now, right now, give us a like, leave a comment, let me know where you're from as well. That would be really fascinating for us to know that, and put your questions in. And up until the point that we get any questions, I'm going to throw a few into the mix that I've seen come up this week. And I think we'll tackle those first, because what we see is we see the same questions coming through. So I want to sort of delve into those a little bit right now, so we can get a lot of those settled. And the first one that I'm going to start with, Rakesh, and I'll get you to answer this, is people are talking about having custom domains on their Zenler schools. So where they come in, they get whatever it is they call their school, .newzenler.com, and they want to know, how do they get rid of that .newzenler bit?
Yeah, so actually it's pretty easy. You just go into your site and custom domain, and then you stick in your domain on there, and then it goes, so you need to follow a few steps to set up your custom domain on your DNS, and then support needs to do some magic on the back end to set it up. We are working on automating this, but so currently there's some involvement from support involved. I think that's it. It's pretty straightforward. So there are tutorials on tutorials.newzenler.com on the custom domain aspect. So it should be pretty straightforward there.
So I think the thing here to remember is, to get the custom domain, you've got to be a pro user.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that correct?
So, that's right. Yeah. So custom domain and some other features, like some of the advanced features like live, they are not available on the free beta plan. They're only available on the pro plan and the premium plan. That's right.
Okay. So, and I think that sort of leads me on to the next confusion that comes up in the group quite often, as in, what's on the beta plan, what's on the live plan, what's the pre-launch pro, and all of those features. And I know if you go to New Zenler, there is a sales page there, and it does tell you what they are. But there's a difference, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much you get almost all the features on the free beta. It's just that there are the limits on leads, limits on emails, and you probably may not get all the latest and greatest features, like order bumps we released recently, and New Zenler Live. And custom domain. So these are the main things. So any new features will probably go to the founding members first, and then it will probably make its way to the free members.
All right, cool. Okay, so there's also been talk, and pre-lockdown we were talking about New Zenler going fully out of beta, and it was going into its full launch, and prices were rising and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot because you're here and I can, and
Yeah.
all your members are
Go on.
going to love me for this. When's all this going to happen? When are people, can they expect maybe the price to go up, to come out of beta, and then
Yeah.
move into a different model? Is
Uh,
there
the, tr-
plans?
the truth of the matter is, I don't know. I don't have a straightforward answer for that. We will launch whenever we think we are ready. We
Okay.
are not, it's not because someone thinks we are not or whatever. We will go live when we are ready. So we have taken a step back because of the COVID situation, and we want, so this has allowed us to take a step back and focus on all the repeated issues that supports get hit over and over again. We want to resolve that, all of that minor annoyances before we move on to big stuff. So currently we are doubling down on live aspect, but rest of it we are purely focusing on the platform and getting all this, all the repeated annoyances out of the way.
Brilliant. I mean, from my point of view, and I've worked with lots of course platforms over the years, and I've done lots of stuff and worked with companies in that beta phase.
Yeah,
And the attraction for us is that we come in and we come in early. We understand it's in development. There's stuff happening. It's not 100%, but we
yeah,
get that. And the offset is the fact that we get it at a really great price, normally locked in at that price.
yeah,
So for anyone that's sitting here watching this and they're on the free version and thinking, you know what, am I going to wait for it all to be fixed? Or, what's going on with that? I'd say just go for it. And the reason I say that is because I've not done that before. And
yeah,
when it's all been fixed and they've launched, I've gone like, oh, now that's like 5 times more expensive. I wish I'd done that.
yeah,
And the commitment that you're going to show to using the platform as well is going to be much higher, because you're going to go, right, I've
yeah,
paid for this. This will earn me money. This will get my courses out. And I'm really going to commit to getting the best that I can get out of this. So I
yeah,
think your mindset changes when you make that type of commitment.
yeah,
And of course, like you've just said, on the free version, it's brilliant, but you
yeah,
don't get to see everything that New Zenler can do.
yeah,
So there might be features that you want that are just not available to you right now, which are some of the other questions that come up each week. I'm a free member, why can't I do this? Well, you
yeah,
can't do that because you're not a pro member.
yeah,
And it really is that straightforward.
yeah,
So one of the things that's come up a lot this week, and I have my own views on this, and they most likely differ to yours, has been talking about emails,
mm,
and how the email system in New Zenler that's incorporated in that operates, delivery rates.
yeah,
Is it worth using an external system as well as the New Zenler, or instead of the New Zenler mail?
yeah.
And what sort of, as people are sort of devising their plan, where they should be thinking on that.
Yeah, I mean, Zenler Mail is a work in progress. So we are still working on deliverability and all the other aspects of it. If you are really, really concerned about that, you can continue using your current provider. But we are just getting started with Zenler Mail. There's a long way to go. I think current deliverability is decent, and we haven't had like major issues. But having said that, there's a lot of fine tuning that needs to go in, and there's a lot of work that is about to go in, like custom sending domain and so on and so forth. Yeah, so we're just getting started with Zenler Mail, but there's a lot of work outstanding, and that needs to be done.
I mean, I look at this really quite simply. That if I'm sitting here as a business owner that has pretty much nothing,
Yeah,
and I want a system that's going to help me get my foot on the rung and start with a bit of email stuff, start to get a lead magnet and start and get my courses out, then the
yeah,
Zenler Mail stuff is pretty good.
yeah,
If I want a full-on, it's all singing, all dancing, automations incorporated with a CRM system and all of that,
yeah,
we're not quite there yet.
that's right.
And
Yeah,
that's probably going to be in the future. But
yeah,
if you want that, then, New Zenler does integrate with email systems, because it does with mine. I use ActiveCampaign and it
yeah,
integrates really nicely on there. So I can still do that stuff. So I think the big answer to the question that they're asking is, should I get rid of things like MailChimp and ActiveCampaign and all of those? I think
yeah.
it depends on what you want your email system to do.
Exactly. I mean that's absolutely up to you. We our aim is for you to be able to replace all the integrations one at a time.
Yeah.
Some people they probably need like a basic automation. The user can do a lot of automation that you can do, but not as complex as you can probably see in things like Active Campaign and so on. Yeah, so it entirely depends on how complex you want. Currently, we have built automation which is um, not so complex, but we will slowly add complexity to it depending on the needs.
And it all takes time, of course, because when you
Yeah,
add these new features in, it's not just a case of dreaming it up one day and releasing it the
exactly.
next day. You've got to work it into the system, test it, break it, try and get
Yeah,
it so it's pretty much working quite well
yeah.
before you release it to the hordes, who then really will break it for you. Uh,
Yes, that's
so
typical. Yeah,
I get it, and I think sometimes it's the patient side of this.
yeah.
So I just want to say hi to Shelley. Shelley's just come in
Hey,
and
Shelley.
said hello to us. Shelley was actually the one that introduced me to New Zenler.
Wow,
Um, so she's a client of
nice job,
ours as
Shelley.
well. Um, so yeah, thanks for coming along. Barbara Gemmett's watching as well. She's another ex-client of ours. So good to see you all. Remember, if you want to ask Rakesh anything, you've got him here until
Yeah,
around
ask
about
me anything,
5:30.
shoot away. Yeah,
Throw the questions in there, make them as difficult as you wish.
yes, you can.
He's looking far too comfortable at the moment.
Yeah.
We we need
I
to
can,
get
I,
those.
I, yeah, I can answer whatever I can, but few things, some of the things which are in the plan, obviously we cannot reveal. But yeah, I can answer whatever you think.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so while they're thinking about that, um, what I do want to mention to people that may not be aware yet is that we do have the new set of tutorials being recorded.
Yeah,
David's working very hard on those. So if you've not yet signed up to the new Zenler YouTube channel, go and subscribe to that and follow that, because there's stuff going on there pretty much every day at the moment. And it's all current, it's all new, it's really, really useful for you. It's also going into the tutorials.newzenler.com, which is the free support part for New Zenler. So no matter what level member you are, I believe you get access to that. And there's
yeah,
tutorials in there as well. So when you get in there, you'll see the old stuff, which is like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And then you'll see the stuff that's been going in the last 2 weeks. And we're working on really making that a fantastic resource for you to find pretty much a quick answer to anything that you're looking for. That's really the goal behind that.
yeah,
And that's coming really, I had a really fantastic chat with David today, and the plans that are coming out for that are going to blow everyone away, because it'll be all touch button stuff and they'll get straight to what they need.
yeah.
So that's going to be really, really
Yeah,
good.
I can see a lot of ninja stuff going in there as well. So some neat tricks and so. So pretty great, I think.
Yeah, and that's going to be ongoing as New Zenler settles and adds new features. We're going to keep that moving forward, so it's not going to be out of date. We'll take the old ones down at some point and just leave it with the absolute current stuff in there, so it doesn't confuse anybody.
Yeah.
But I think Rakesh, did you just put the links for those in there?
I did, yeah. So it's tutorials.newzealand.com, and I think there are around three courses: page designer, marketing funnels, quick start guide, and I think there's four. There's another one for live that Martin did recently. So I
Okay.
think David is doing an A to Z course as well, and the one that you are planning on as well.
Yeah. I'm what I'll be launching, and I've now actually got a date for this. So this is the first time any of you are hearing about this, apart from Rakesh and David, who do know. Is we are doing a 10-day challenge, which is launching on the 7th of September. The you'll It'll be delivered live into the group, and the aim of it is to get your first course out over 10 days worth of action. So if you've just got an idea at the moment, if you're sitting there, and I spoke to a really lovely lady this week who was in exactly that position where she
Yeah,
knew she wanted to get a course out, but she couldn't quite work the mechanics out, how it looked and how to put it together in Zenler. And I spent 20 minutes with her. We filtered it through, and it's going to be out within the next week, which for me is a massive win. So if you're sitting there, you've been procrastinating, you're sitting on it, you're not using the system to its fullest, and by fullest I mean got any students into your school right now, then our challenge is designed to help you get to that point where we have a launch, and at the end of the launch, we're going to have a launch party. And it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really, really excited. And for those of you that know me outside of Zenler, will know our challenges are legendary. We only do good challenges where people succeed through these. So we're going to nail it, and it's going to be awesome.
Ultimately, the challenges are all about outcomes, right? So you can get outcome here.
Yeah, and that is our goal. So have we got any questions come in yet? Ali's come in. Do we project new Zenler? Will still be in beta at least through the rest of 2020? Thanks for your question, Ali.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. But as I said earlier, we don't have a set date for when we go live. We are constantly refining the platform, so we will launch when we think we are ready. And also, we are taking a step back because of the current COVID situation, which allows us to fine tune all the bits that we have before, before adding on. So once we have a rock solid platform, adding features are very easy. We don't want to keep on adding until we got that foundation yet.
I hope that answered your question, Ali. Thank you very much. Remember, we've got Rakesh here. We're going to be here until 5:30 UK time, which is only about another 20 minutes. So if you've got questions, please put them in the chat. I am monitoring the chat so we can get your questions straight in. Sorry about that. You will, just for those of you that want to get to know me, you will hear my lovely German Shepherd having her say on my lives. This is something that's followed us around for the last 2 years. She likes to be involved. She's a very young, excitable German Shepherd, so she will occasionally bark. So if it upsets you, I apologise. But if you love her, maybe one day we'll get her onto the live as well, and you can see just how excitable she gets.
That will be very exciting.
But there we go. Okay, so as far as other questions that have come up within the group, there's been a lot of questions around the builder within the page builder within New Zenler. And now I know support has been overwhelmed with questions, queries, and all of that. Can I ask your advice? And I suppose what I'm looking for is best practice, really. As in, if somebody's on the page editor and they're having a problem, or they've put a video in and it's not quite working, what should be their go-to steps before they start throwing the computer in the air and rapidly messaging support? I mean, is there some basic things they can do?
There are, of course, there are several basic things that you can do. So one of the things that you can easily do is you can probably delete that element and re-add the backend, re-add the block or the element backend. So you would use the plus icon to search for the block or the element and re-add that backend. And also you can also try clearing your cache. So sometimes things, for example, when you set color and style in branding, sometimes it does not get effect onto the editor. So sometimes you need to clear your cache or try in incognito mode and refresh the cache. Hopefully we'll address that as well later on, but as of now, if you do anything on branding, it doesn't automatically flow into the page editor, but hopefully in few days we will be able to add, we will roll out the functionality called apply branding, where on a particular block you can with one click you can apply your site branding onto that block. So that's something which is coming up.
Okay. What about if, because quite often we hear the phrase in technology of turn it on and turn it off and turn it on again. Does this apply? Because one of the things that I found is by clearing the cache, sometimes that helps. How does that work for people?
Yeah, I think because sometimes the cache, things load from the local cache, and so the changes that you do not take effect, and for example CSS and stuff like that, they keep this platform still keeps loading the old stuff from your cache. So the cache clearing definitely helps in quite a lot of cases. So sometimes people ask, why does support always say clear cache, clear cache, clear cache? Because quite often they're not. That resolves it. That's probably why they give the classic IT solution to clear cache. So, but at some point of time, we will add like things like CSS versioning and stuff like that, so that you don't need to do that kind of thing, every time clear cache and stuff like that.
Okay. We've had a couple of questions more come in. So from Kavitha, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Can I restrict access to certain courses or parts of one course in a trial period of my membership site?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you use tiers, you can say my tier 1 can access my plan 1, plan 2. My tier 2, my gold plan can access my sections 2, 3, 4, and my diamond plan can access sections 4, 5, 6, and so on. You can do that here.
Okay, cool. Amit says, Cache for life. Amit, how are you? Great to see you here. Thank you so much for coming along. Ali has come along with another question. Brilliant. Thank you for getting involved. So Ali says, I'm brand new to New Zenler this week. Fantastic and welcome. On average, how often do updates come out with new features? Every month or a few months or so
on? I think if you look at, there is a link. I'm going to drop the link below in the chat. There's a link called bit.ly/ I think NZ changelog. I mean, we do releases almost every day, but we are trying to hold back on the number of releases, because every release we have to do a lot of QA and staging and so on. So yeah, we are moving towards weekly once or twice releases. Sometimes we have done like daily releases in the past. So I'm going to drop the link below. Yeah. So.
Is there a roadmap for New Zenler for development?
Yeah, so we publish one roadmap on the Facebook group. We don't have a public roadmap. So what we said is, once we launch, we were going to have an area where people can vote for features. But once, till that time, we wouldn't be having like a public roadmap. Everything will be just on the Facebook group.
Right. Okay. No, that's cool. Okay.
So thanks, Amit. I think Amit has posted that changelog link.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. Appreciate that. So Kavisa's got that and Amit's got that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to start wrapping up now. So if you've got any last minute burning questions, let me just tell you, do a slight recap on for those of you that have just come into the live. Remember, tutorials.newzenler.com is where you go and get a lot of the free training that's being put into the current training that's being done on the New Zenler site as is and as will be developed. If you head on over to the New Zenler YouTube channel, they're being put up there as well, as long with some other goodies that we're doing over there, which is really fantastic. So please do go like and subscribe and share that channel like crazy. That would be really fantastic. Next week, we're going to be doing 9 p.m. on Thursday for the office hours. So please do come along. Every week it will be different time, different time zones, and we're trying to incorporate in the course of a month everybody. So hopefully we'll catch you next time as well. And you can always, of course, watch on the replay and leave any questions on the replay as well. Also next week, we've got the interview a pro user coming up. So look out for the link to register your interest in that. If you're a pro user of New Zenler, you're out there, you're selling courses, you've got people involved. I want to get into your courses. I want to understand and get everybody else to see just how creative you are, how brilliant you are at using New Zenler Pro for your business. And I want to record it and I want to share it in the group so everybody can get inspired and look at some of the features that you're using. Because what I've learned is everybody uses it slightly differently, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right, have we got any more extra questions, Rakesh?
Yeah, I think Jamie has asked, would it be better to use Chrome or Safari? We always recommend Chrome, just because we haven't done enough testing on Safari. So yeah, so always use Chrome. And for New Zenler Live, for presenters, always use desktop. Do not use mobile for going live as a presenter. It will work fine for for the attendee, but just for the presenter. I think Amit
Perfect.
also has a question.
So YouTube channel links in there again. Now, Amit has actually mentioned the Facebook code, and I am going to just jump in on this Facebook code thing because the pixels come up quite a few times this week.
Yeah.
Do I have to put a Facebook pixel in? How do I do it? And why do I have to do it on every single page? What's the thought behind that? Because that's quite a big deal for a lot of course people.
Yeah, I mean, currently, as of now, you need to go to each and every single page and do it. It can be done, but if you have like hundreds and hundreds of pages, it can be really tedious. So yeah, Amit, we are going to come up hopefully next in few days. It's in staging. It's being tested right now. So you're going to love it. We're going to have tracking. We're going to have global includes for the pages and global includes for the course player as well. So you're going to have two includes.
Brilliant. That's going to be really, really powerful, especially for people that want to send ads to people that have done different stuff or not done stuff within their courses. And we all know how powerful that is. And as Amit says, also for Google Analytics as well, can be really powerful. Brilliant. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. I think we've had a successful first session, and Rakesh, I'm so pleased that you hopped on with me today. That's been absolutely brilliant, and we've answered, I think, some of the questions people have had this week. Yeah. Remember, if you've got questions for next week, look out for the Google Sheet, the Google form that's going to be put out, and you can add them onto that. Or, of course, join us live, and it may be Rakesh, it may be David, it may be me, or it may be all three of us. But what it won't be is none of us. So enjoy your week, enjoy the group, and thank you again, and thanks for coming along. And see you.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Talk to you. Bye-bye.